Hi everyone! In today's video I'm going to show you how to stamp and emboss on acetate. And here's a sample that I made. So you can see I actually alcohol inked it, but prior to doing that I actually heat embossed this flourish on here, or this vintage shape, and it looks like it's popping out of the acetate, which is kind of cool. And you'll see how I distress the edges with embossing powder. Okay, so here's a sample of an acetate insert that I did in my husband's mini, in a mini that I made for my husband. So you can see it looks like the flourish is actually popping out of the acetate. So it has a pretty cool look. Here's the back side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need a sheet of acetate. I'm going to go ahead and use this vintage stamp, and you're going to take your Versamark, ink that up really good. Now Versamark is super sticky, so you want to make sure you hold your acetate down really well. Okay, just give a really firm press on there and hold your acetate down. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and take some ultra thick embossing enamel in bronze. And I'm going to go ahead and generously pour some over that. And just sort of flick off the excess there. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and take your heat gun, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see. You're going to take your heat gun and you're going to let it run for a little bit to heat it up, and then you're going to go ahead and heat emboss. And that's going to be really hot, so you want to kind of cool it off a little bit. Just missed a little spot there. Okay, so this is what you got. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some caramel, pitch black, cranberry, and gold mixative alcohol inks. And I should probably zoom out here so you can see. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the alcohol solution, put that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and color up my acetate. Zoom in here so you can see what I am doing. Now in this one I actually used a little bit more black alcohol ink than I did in my sample. But you know, if you're not happy with the colors, you can always lighten it up by putting more alcohol blending solution. It's sort of moving around here, but that's okay. So I am just going to move things aside here and zoom out. And then to clean my work surface, I typically just use the alcohol blending solution. and it cleans off the alcohol ink really well. Okay, and I'm using the Ranger Craft Mat, and you want to make sure you use that when you're dealing with alcohol inks. Okay, so now that dried off pretty fast. Isn't that pretty? So it looks like the vintage shape here is actually popping out of the acetate. It's pretty cool. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stamp. It is not the destination, but the journey. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with Versamark. And go ahead and stamp that. And hold the acetate down again because it's really sticky. Okay, and then to get this edging done, this black edging, I'm going to go ahead and run my Versamark and kind of swipe it against the corners, or the edging of the acetate. And because Versamark is super sticky, you don't have to worry about it drying up before you can get the embossing powder on it. So don't feel like you have to be in a hurry to get that on. And again, when you're doing this distress technique, there's really no method of perfection. It's just put it on, you know, and just throw it on. If it comes out sort of distorted, that's okay. It just adds to the character of what you've done. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black embossing powder. And this is just some embossing powder that I picked up at Joann. Nothing fancy, but you can use the Ranger Distress Embossing Powder if you want. It gives it a really nice look as well. Okay, so you're just going to pile on the black embossing powder, and then you're going to flick the excess, and yes, you will get embossing powder all over the place. It gets sort of messy, but that's okay. To me, it's sort of worth it because I love the look. It's totally cool. So I'm just going to get this out of the way. Okay. And I'm going to take the sheet, and again, I am going to let my gun run for a little bit, my heat gun, so I can get it hot, and then I'm going to start embossing. It's going to be a little hot, but there you go. So you can see the embossed edging, and you can see what I've done here by alcohol inking over the Versamark stamped image. So hope you get to try that out on your next card, layout, or mini. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or visit my blog at www.butterflykisseswithlove.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.